Hey guys, good evening. Welcome to yet another session of Sneha Arts, the Art Talk. And today we have eminent artist Shampa ji, and she is here to talk about her journey. And as all of you know, Sneha Arts is an initiative by Dr. Sneha Lata Prasad. She's a sculptor. She's grabbed many awards and recognition, and she also has an art studio, Sneha Art Studio, which does a lot of activities, events for best artists around the world. And yep, this is one initiative which has picked up well, and this is season 2. Thanks a lot, Shampaji, for joining us on this show. You've been busy. आपको मतलब एक जगह पकड़ना भी बहुत मुश्किल है, so we are glad that we got you here. One of the best things is you, along with your entire family, make me feel jealous because you travel a lot, and apart from that, you enjoy your work. So your work is part of, not your travel is part of your work. So this really makes me feel jealous. But before we get on to the journey of traveling, we would love to hear about you. How did art start? And how much influence did your family have in this art journey of yours?
Sure. Thank you, Ravi. It's a pleasure to be here, and I must thank Sneha Arts for having me here, and thanks to you also. Uh, I'm very happy that someone is jealous, but it's not like that. Traveling has always been a passion, and it has a lot of challenges also. But in general, we enjoy traveling. Having said that, my thanks to Sneh and to the Sneh art team. Um Art, in my if I see my journey, art, there is no artist in my household per se. They're all from the either from the medical or the engineering or the MBA, the general backgrounds. So I was actually one of the first maybe artists uh, who's trained in my house. Uh, when we were young and all, but art has always been a part of our life because I come from a Bengali family. And as you know, Bengali families, we are so much into different activities all through the year because of our festivals and all. We have the Durga Puja, we have the Lakshmi Puja, which happens in our house. So art has always been around, and also my earlier memories. Of my aunt or my grandmother or even my mother for that matter, they used to have such beautiful stories, folklore. We have a book most Bengalis are aware of, which is called Thakumar Jhuli. So you have small stories which are there, and those are so rich in the visual. If you can imagine what is happening, they're so rich in that a small child gets influenced, and I also got influenced into that. Also, my aunt and all, my grandmother, they used to make these beautiful alpanas and all. If you know alpana, which is
Hmm.
made with rice and water paste, and on the floor, when you have a very auspicious occasion in your house, you sort of make those designs. So art has always been there. And even when I was a child, Durga Puja was only not starting from the Maha Shashti day. It used to start much before, because we used to go and see these artisans who used to come from Kolkata, and they used to make these beautiful images of Ma Durga, right from binding the straw, putting in the clay, and then going to the finish. So right from day one, we used to be very actively, as children, very actively involved in that. So that journey has always been there with me. So that's how art was a very essential part of me when I grew up. But my father is an engineer, my mother is a housewife. Ma was very good at drawing and all, and she was really, she was the one who used to make all my charts and other things in school. So, so essentially, it so happened that one day she told me, "Enough is enough. I'm not drawing your chart papers." She used to make them very well, and I'm not drawing it, and you are going to do it yourself. So that's how my interest in art started. and I had to do my work on my own. So that's how I learned drawing and other things, because the teachers knew that I make very good charts and other things, which my mother used to make, not me. So when it came down to me to make, then I had to live up to that level, that I had to produce something which was good.
which teachers appreciate again.
Yeah, so that's how
Chori
it.
chori pakda nahi jaye.
Ah,
That's what they say, right? You have to be so good that people don't catch that
yes.
it wasn't you.
So yeah, so but I was always my father, although he was an engineer and he had nothing, no inclination of drawing. He used to make these stick figures, but he was very much well read and very well aware. And Baba was the one, if we used to when we used to have the Durga Puja and all, we used to have competitions, which were very nice because you had all the children participating, whether it's drama, art, recitation, debate, anything, and we used to all be involved in that. So that's when I started winning prizes in the puja pandals, where I used to start. That's how I realized that I art is a very much it's an important part of my growing up. So that's how things started in my childhood, actually. And my aunt, she was the one, my bua, my father's sister. She was the only one I had seen painting canvases. She used to do it as a hobby, and so she was the only, you can say, an artist in our family. So that's how things started. Yeah.
Any events, any museums you visited, any specific art, from your books while you were studying, which inspired you, saying that banana hai to aise banana hai, during your
Uh,
childhood, before your art journey started?
Yeah, look, in a Bengali household, you have Jamini Roy always present. It's always there. You have Rabindranath Tagore and his art and music and poems and everything there. So that artistic inclination was always there, and that we were always surrounded by such things, dramatics over here, and also, but I would say that when I was a child, I never used to. Like I never knew that many artists and all. Only thing, Jamni Roy and the Alpana and other things which we used to just see and all, that all in the pandals and all. So that was essentially all we knew about art, and as a school in a hobby and all. But I was very good at my practical files used to be very good, especially my botany practical file, my biology practical file. So now when I think of it, I think so I was more drawn towards it because of the art. My file used to be very good. So, so I think so because of the art, I was more drawn towards that. So that's what.
And any of, I mean, before the art journey, I mean, during the childhood, we generally copy a specific art, which is already existing. Now you have your own style of,
Yes, yes.
art. But before that, we used to copy, matlab, some image.
Yes,
We try to replicate what is, very
right.
is existing, and you like it very much. So, ऐसा कुछ art याद है आपको, which you try to
I was very
perfect?
I was very fortunate. My schooling, I was in Delhi, and before that, I was in Bombay in Jamnabai Nursery School. Over there, also, there was a lot of emphasis on co-curricular activities, and art was my favorite in that. When I came to Delhi, I joined the Sri Aurobindo Ashram School, that is Mothers International, and we had a very good art teacher, Mr. U. Bose. He's still there, and thanks to him, he never encouraged copying. He was so good that he always, whatever he used to draw, he never used to negate it or say, what have you made? He always used to say, this is good, but it can be better. How can we make it better? So that thing of copying was never encouraged in school. So thanks to my art sir, I had art till I think so 8th or 10th standard. We had art. After that, I became a science student. So he was one person who used to take us to the competitions, different. And that time we had the Shankars and all, and I won prizes in all of them. I won international competition, Shankars on the spot. Other competition, there's to be a Nehru competition, Nehru planetarium, where we all our group won the first prize, murals and all. So it's because of Sir that he never encouraged. It was always something that you can make on your own. What can you do on your own? Don't copy. And in that, how you can, improve and progress. That is what always he taught us. So I think so that helps somewhere that um, we always were told to think on our own. What best we can do on our own. That was more preferred.
Okay. You were a botany student, and I'm sure just with the notes or the drawings you would have scored extra marks than others. So what transformed you from complete science to art? When did you start this as a complete profession, and you decided that yes, this is my way?
Yeah. No, it what happens at that time when you are in 10th standard, and I was fairly a good student, not okay, average student, and I got a good marks in my 10th, and at that time when I was in 10th, going to a science section because all our friends are going there, so you generally prefer, nobody wanted to go to an art section. So I remember my father telling me that why don't you take up arts? And I was like, why arts? I've done good in 10th. Why do I need to go to arts? So that's how the science, and I enjoyed, except for chemistry, I was very bad at it. Physics and maths also, I was very bad. But physics and botany biology was very good. So that's how I started, and that time art as a career, I never thought of actually, because per se there was no one an artist in our house. Had there been an artist in our house, maybe I could have thought of. So it was very natural that I sat down for my medical also. I didn't get through. I think so. I got to a dental college or something which my father didn't prefer, and then I did my botany honors. I was doing my botany honors, and that's when we have a very eminent artist and professor who was a professor in our college, Dhiraj Chaudhary sir. He's unfortunately no more. But sir was one person. He was a friend of my father, and he came and said that why don't you put her into an art college, because her drawing is so good. She's been winning prizes, because school I was a science student, but my drawing teacher used to take me for all the competitions, you know. So and you won't believe it. Uh, I just asked him. I said, "Where is this art college?" I was not even aware of it. So he got very angry. He's a very eminent person, artist, and that's how I went and I gave my exam for the entrance exam. I was in second year botany, and I gave my entrance and I qualified, and then I think so that was the best decision of my life. And my father helped me; he was all for it. And not once did he tell me that why you want to shift. So that was great. That always my parents have always encouraged me in whatever I do, and still now there is always an encouragement.
Super.
So that helps. I think so.
So how was the college life with
Oh
art?
yeah, art college was a revelation because I was always very disciplined and very studious, and I always had a way of doing things and all. School also, and then when you go to art college, you are actually in an environment which is absolutely free. There is no binding. There is nothing like. Of course, we have the you have to attend classes and all, but it was such fun. I never knew, you're studying, you're doing your practical work, and there is so much of fun you can have. That is, I think, so if you enjoy what you're doing, then you slow whatever you're doing. That becomes a fun factor. You want to be in that zone. So art college, and we were very fortunate that time that Delhi College of Art, we had very good teachers with us. I mean, I would say I was my etching ma'am, Anupam Sood ma'am. She's a very eminent person. Uh, she never used to teach anything. Not that she used to tell you do this, do this. She used to do her own work. But in that process, seeing her, helping her, we used to learn so much, and we used to be always involved in her work. She used to make her plates and all. Even we had a professor like Dhiraj Chaudhary sir was there. He never taught us that do this, do this. This is how you should do it. He used to be in a studio. He used to work, and whenever we used to go and talk to him, he used to be working, and he used to just tell us the way he used to be working. That itself used to be a learning process for us. So all our teachers, we had Naren Sensa, we had Falguni Das, and a lot of our teachers, they were so good because they were working, and we could see them practically working there in their studios. Uh, so that journey was wonderful. I think those 4 years of art college, and actually art college is something, you don't learn anything there. Nobody is going to take your hand and guide you and tell you do this. Although it's a professional college, you have to learn it. You just have to observe. You have to, learn, make a process of your own. And if you're interested and what you're doing gives you happiness, you ultimately learn. Because when you come out of the college, as it happens with everyone, it's a completely different world. I mean, you are in such a world where you're all alone and you're struggling, and then the artist struggle becomes. Till you're in college, you feel you can conquer the world. There's nothing that you can't do. But once you're out of it, and when you have to fend for yourself, and when you have to establish yourself as an artist, that's when the real struggle starts. Yeah, that's what.
So whose name does it strike, or whose face strikes when you talk about the struggling stage? As soon as you finish the college, who helped you establish yourself initially?
Look, I have had a very rough journey, to be very frank. After my college, I did my masters, and after that, there was a phase in my life where I was not able to work for a period of time, and I was very, very unhappy. I wanted to work, but because of certain circumstances, I was not able to. And that's where good teachers come into play. Like, I used to meet my professors, and whenever I used to meet them, I used to just say that I really want to work and come, start work as an artist, but I'm not able to do it. And I remember one of my professors, he said, Shamba, why do you worry? This phase of your life is also going to help you in your work. This phase, you are quietly observing things. You are, everything. It's like, you are taking in, your observation is there, and this phase will also help you. So don't worry. And when you have to start, you will start. So I'm thankful that that phase was not a long phase period, but of course there was. And I started, and after that there was no looking back. My husband, I would say, was a big factor. He's a travel photographer, and Sanjay Dutt. I remember he used to buy colors. My supplier still tells me he used to buy colors, canvases, and I work in acrylic. So he used to buy these things, and I used to say, okay, I'm going to start from today, tomorrow. Because of my circumstances, I was not able to. And one day I just was speaking to him, and he said, look, if you want to do something, you have to do it right now, because later on in your life, you should not repent that, I could have done it and I didn't. So that stuck onto me. I said, yeah, that's right. If later on in life I just tell myself, now I'm making so many excuses, but later on life, if I'm not able to do what I want to really do, means I'll be the most unhappiest person.
True, true.
So that's how I started, and it was challenging. Of course, it was very, very challenging. But I think so. Art and challenges. If you want to be an artist, you should be ready to struggle. That's a part of it.
So we also have some friends joining in. We have some comments. So Sapna Khanna is saying, "Good to hear from you, ma'am." And then we have Karumanai Sur. He's saying namaste. So thank you guys for joining in. If you have any questions for Shampaji, which she can address or answer while she is live here, feel free to ask in the chat, and I'll ask her while we are talking. So, for friends who have not seen her artwork, I have a quick video, and we'll showcase her artwork, and then we'll get back to her with respect to the questions as to what's her style, what is the theme. So, once you see the artwork, if you have any specific questions, feel free to, share it in these comments. And also, if you have any favorite artwork that you've seen during this particular video, also mention that here. So here is a quick video. Over to you. Beautiful. So, Shampaji, you've got a style of art. What is this style called? And I see mostly nature. I see a lot of depth. There are a lot of highlights you've done within the art, where AK on the rake. There is there is a journey of
Yes.
depth within the artwork. But maybe that's a layman who's not an artist trying to describe your art. But if you can share, throw some light as to what do you look at, what do you capture, what's your style of your.
Yes. Actually, if you see my work, there is a process to my work. I cannot just sit in a studio and start working. It never happens like that. I have to. My travel is a big part in my journey. The travel started with, I had gone to Ladakh, and when I went to Ladakh, I went there as a tourist just to see. And when I saw that, when I saw Ladakh in the villages, also we were traveling, it was so mesmerizing. And what strikes you first is nature. It's such a pristine, such a clean kind of an atmosphere, and you feel so tiny over there. Because when we are in Delhi, like I'm in a big metropolitan city like Delhi, we have this ego, that which which happens that um, I'm somebody. I'm just like I'm so great or something. But when you go there, you feel that you are just a
So, no problem.
hello. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Please hold on, I'm gonna pick that.
We can hear you fine.
Can you hear me? So
Yes. Yeah.
what we just when we go there, we feel that we are so small, and this nature, this vastness of nature, is what hits you first. So when I came back from Ladakh, I started a series which was Tattva, the five elements of nature, because I could actually feel the five elements which are there. That is Agni, Jal, Vayu, Prithvi, Akash. You can feel it there. It's so vibrant over there. On then again when I went back, I could then again see the second layer, which is the shunya, that is the voids. There are these vast spaces which are there, which are it seems empty, but they are resonating and pulsating with elements, with energy, and there are vibrations there which you can really feel in the air. So I used to go back to Ladakh, and I'll tell you, in 10 years' time, at least 5 times I've been there on road. And I used to go there, stay 15 days, 20 days, if it would allow me a month or so. And I would just observe, and I would just go through the villages. I would go and speak to people and go into the monasteries and all. So that's how the travel and my, uh, the work, the images that I have. So if you see my work, there is a texture which happens. I think so. That's how I have imbibed that texture. Because if you see their monasteries and their houses, they have this gompa mitti, which has a texture, a very rough texture. And the murals and all has a lot of gold. The clouds, the spiral clouds, and the lotuses which I have in my work have essentially come from their tankas, from the murals that I saw. So that I imbibed. And when I came back to my studio and I was working, that vision slowly, it transformed into the canvas. And that's how that style which emerged came in. And of course a lot of studies, then, because since I was going there, so I started studying the Buddhist iconography. I wanted to know what I'm seeing, so that I have an in-depth knowledge of what is there. So I started going through books of Buddhist iconography and of the environment which is there, the history of that place. So that's how the stylization came in. So you'll see, if you see my work, there's a process to the work. Like, it's not a single layer which is there. There are different layers which are there, And these layers, you can see, the can say, is are the experiences which happened when I went kept on going again and again to this place. There was a show which I did, solo show, which was Pratidhwani. After this, Pratidhwani was again the echo, that after the site, after the void, you hear an echo where you are hearing new voices, where the outer and the inner world become one. So so you see, whenever I used to go, I used to come back inspired and charged, and I used to come and sit in the studio and then do. Then there was a time when I was going inside the monasteries, and I was spending a lot of time inside the monasteries. So after coming back, there was again again a solo which happened, which was called Dhyan. So where you after the echo, after you have been through everything, you are into that meditative state. So then Dhyan happened. So every solo or every experience added on to my canvas in some way or the other. Uh, After those 10 years, there was a phase when I was traveling to the eastern and the southern part of the country, and that time Devi Shakti became more important in my work. So I started, playing around with Devi, Shakti, started reading. I was in Banaras, I was in the Bengal, I was in Assam, I was in South, going into the temples, and that's how, again, there was a change after 10 years or so. So that's how the traveling influences my work. So I travel, I read, I try and imbibe things which I see, and then when I sit in the studio, all that I have imbibed, somehow from here it comes into the hand, and it transforms into the canvas. So this process is very important for me. I just cannot do without this process.
Super.
So,
So we also have some comments coming in. So, this is about the artwork video which we have played. Vinay Sharma ji is saying, nice.
thank you.
Kurumanai Sur is saying, enjoyed your mesmerizing work in the video. So, yeah. So, more comments, feel free, or questions for Shampaji, feel free to, mention it here. Uh, Shampaji, quick question. Your husband is a wildlife photographer. Okay, you're traveling with him, and I'm sure I can imagine that he sees a bird, and he will go behind, and he will just forget who came along with him, and he will
Yes.
go into the wilds. So how do you manage?
Yes, it's very true. We're traveling with him since he's a photographer, and he has a different way of working. With me, it's a different way of working. So usually we do travel together, but he is in his own zone. And for me, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I was in Banaras with him, and we were traveling, and he had his own. He wanted to cover the ghats and all. So I spent the time to go into the different small temples which are there. And over there, I came across this temple which is of the Ashtalakshmi. So I sat down with the Purohit there. I asked him what is Ashtalakshmi. He explained. He showed me the whole temple, and that time the art fair was coming. So the gallery I was participating with, they asked me that, Champa, we want a good work, and what do you feel that you should do? And I had no doubt in my mind, because when I came back from there, I just read about everything, and everything was so clear in my head that I started working on the canvas. So but of course, we are maybe in the same place, but we are doing our own work. He has his own work, and I have my own work. So I love traveling alone also. I am very comfortable, in fact, better if I'm alone, that I can, do things which I want, be at a place, enjoy the place, learn about the place, study. And nowadays it's so easy, because you have the Google with you. Your phone is always handy. So any information you want, which was not available when we were in school, or even when we were in college, it was not there. So it's you see something, and immediately you can Google, and you can get that information on the spot. So it's very easy, and that way it stays with you for a long period of time, and that interest comes in.
Uh,
So
which
that's how
which
we
was
go about it.
Yeah. Which was your largest, art, the time you've spent on, doing an art in an outdoor way where, you're standing and, doing the art and, people were staring at you as to, Madam, kya bana
Oh,
rahi hai?
no, I usually I have a when I'm outside traveling, I don't uh, I don't do any art.
Okay.
It's just
You
as if
capture.
I'm a sponge and I'm just absorbing everything that is coming towards me, whether it's conversation, whether it's vision, or whether it's an image, or it's a temple. If I'm going to temple, I'm talking to people, I'm taking notes. It's a full. I'm a total science student there. I'm doing a complete research work there. But when I come into my studio, then everything is at the back of my head. Then the aesthetics takes over. Not all this is preparation for me to be in the studio and work. So on spot, it is like if I'm doing some sketches, it is just in my notebook. That's it. That's just about it. I'm just taking notes. I'm recording. I'm understanding, reading. But studio is where everything is at the back, and then the aesthetics, the vision, and the creative part of it takes place. So that's how I do it. So I remember. Outdoor, it's only when we go for camps and other things that we do outdoor, we are working. But per se, it's generally the studio that I work. Of course, drawings and all we do. I'm doing. When I'm at the spot, I may be sketching in my notebook or something. But studio
So,
is the place I work.
your favorite artwork and the best travel location that you've been till date.
To Leh. Yeah, Leh is so beautiful. And in fact, I'll tell you why. Leh, the way we travel, we don't go to the general tourist spots. That's one thing which traveling with my husband is there. There are that's the difficulty in traveling with him, because you don't go to the tourist spots. You go to very difficult places where people have not been for 3 months. I've been to villages where they don't understand my language, and we sit there for about half an hour just smiling at each other. The monk is there, and maybe there is a teacher in the village whom I can converse in Hindi or English, or generally Hindi. But otherwise, the people in the village, I'm not able to have a conversation. So half an
Amazing.
hour we're just looking at each other, the monk which is there, and he's looking at me, and then I'll write something in their text. And if I show it to him, he'll tell me, then he'll correct it, and that's where the conversation starts. And then he in his own way will explain things to me and I will understand. And then the treasures they open up, the monasteries, when they open up such beautiful tankas and paintings, and it's like you cannot even imagine. It's so beautiful,
Wow.
but it takes time to get acclimatized and to understand and all. So the places that we go are so remote. Even in Bengal, when we were traveling, it was just villages, not the usual tourist places. And I'm very fortunate to be born in this country, because I feel India has everything, and everywhere you go, there's so much of inspiration. There is so much of things which can inspire you to work as an artist. Every, like when we come from Ladakh, or when we are coming from Bengal or south, when we are traveling, and we travel on road. Our travel is not by air or by train or anything, it's only on road. So when you're traveling, every village is giving you something different. I mean, I was traveling from Ladakh. Most of you must have traveled from Ladakh to Kargil to Srinagar. On the way, I could actually see the transformation from Buddhism to the Mughal, and to Kashmir when we reached. And there was a village where it was so interesting. There was a mosque which was shaped like a stupa. But how did I realize that it is a mosque? Because it had, two or three those loudspeakers for the azan. There are two or three loudspeakers, and it was like a stupa. And those loudspeakers, I could make out that that is a mosque. Even the dresses, like you have Ladakhi dresses, and then as soon as you're coming towards Srinagar, you will find they'll start covering their head. but the dress is the same, but they'll start covering, and then there'll be a phase when there'll be a complete transformation. So every village you're seeing a transformation. So our country is so beautiful, and so much to offer. I think so. A lifetime is very short to cover that.
True.
And
I completely agree. I completely agree with that. So, best moments, or the craziest moments that you experience, and especially your family is well known for traveling. Your husband is a wildlife photographer. You're into
yeah,
traveling and
yeah,
converting, capturing those moments into art. Your son, is into crazy stunts of
yes.
cycling across. So I'm not sure what is he up to now. It's been a couple of
Oh,
months, but what, how do you manage such craziness, and what do friends say?
yeah, it is a little, it is not the normal, I'm sure. But you know what? As I'm very blessed that I have someone as a life partner who's an artist and understands, what it means to be an artist, and gives me that space and that to be what I want to be. Similarly, for my son also, I'm really thankful to him because there was a stage when he was very small also, and I used to work in the studio, but never has he ever, I've never been disturbed because of that, because of his education or studies. Or he was very self-sufficient. So that way, I've been blessed. That's why I've been able to work, because as an artist you really require that much of support from your family, if you really want to do a serious work and all. And because you're working, and then you cannot be involved in the house also. So it has to be a completely freedom has to be given. So that way it has been. And yes, a little bit of craziness is there, but we just love traveling, being together, and you gain so much. I this all these travel, I think I've gained so much. My perspective towards life has changed. My way of thinking has changed. My canvases have evolved. So I think so. That's given me a lot of things, and I should be thankful for that. That I'm able to do it.
So, in terms of education in art, have you seen any transformation then and now? Do you see any change the way art colleges are teaching students, or the way students are coming out learning art?
Look, I think so. When we were students, the number of means number of people in the group was also less, and teachers we had were very dedicated. They were actually true teachers. Like how a teacher should be. So that amount of dedication was there, and we were like personal. We were like children to them. It was not that okay. So and so has come to an art college to learn art, and we are just going to teach them and go back home. So they were worried about us. There were many people in our college who were also not financially well off and all, and these teachers used to take care of that also. Giving them work, other things. So they were very involved in our families, in our way we are, and not only teaching was not only their subject. They used to be totally involved with us. And actually, nowadays, students, the children are very smart. I would say we were not as smart as them, and also they have the blessing of being, you know, uh, they have the so much of information. Like today, if they want to know about some museum somewhere in the corner of the world, it is so easily accessible to them, which was not there for us. We were a little cut off from the main art scene when we were in college. After we came out, that's when we started interacting. But students are really blessed, and they should take this opportunity and utilize it to the maximum. Be it art, they can listen to anyone from any corner of the world. So that's a blessing. We used to wait for outside professors to come, or visiting faculty to come, so that we can listen to them, artists to come to us, to our college. But nowadays, because of the technology, students are blessed to have that kind of an access. Only thing which I feel is that there's too much of hurry to reach a point. that hurry is not needed, because art has a journey and you have to fulfill that journey. If an artist is putting 20 years into art, it's a journey that he or she is covering, which is going to enhance her work or his work. So that journey there cannot be a shortcut for that journey. I don't think so, because being a creative person, you have to undergo that struggle also. You have to undergo all the things that an artist must to, and that will reflect in your work. It will not be frivolous. That depth will reflect in your work. Many a times I come across people who say, "Art में क्या पढ़ाई करना है?" So I say, you don't understand. It's all the more difficult because we don't have a set syllabus. Nobody is telling you, okay, you study from A to Z and you become an artist. It's not possible that way. You should have knowledge about everything, and more so in today's world, because art is not only restricted to the canvas and the color.
Yeah.
There are so many mediums, there are so many forms, and the more you explore, the more aware you are, the better it is for you. So I feel that patience should be there. Just the time जो लगेगा वो तो लगेगा, उसको देना पड़ेगा. आप ये नहीं बोल सकते हो कि मैं आज यहाँ से यहाँ तक 2 दिन में पहुंच जाऊंगा. ये होगा नहीं. That is not
Yeah.
possible.
True.
So that
I,
patience, because art gives you a lot of freedom, because you have the power. You're making something. You're creating something, and it requires discipline. And that discipline, nobody is going to tell you. You have to have that discipline for yourself.
true, true. You got a very valid point out there. You cannot rush art.
Yes, I feel that, because every work you're making is a stepping stone to your journey. It is not the end, or it is not the moment you consider yourself that I know it all and I've done it all. That's the end of an artist. You should be like a sponge to take in everything that comes in your way and see how best you can form your language and put it on the canvas or the medium that you're choosing. How you're going to express. So that language has to be, that language requires a journey. That language requires dedication to have that language. And it's very essential for an artist to have his or her individual language. You cannot copy that language from anyone. The moment you copy it, maybe you will be, initially you will be, getting a lot of accolades and all. But ultimately, it's very frivolous. It doesn't have depth, so that will not last.
True.
That's what I feel. I don't know. That's what I feel.
शरद भरद्वाज जी बोल रहे हैं, आई लव योर वर्क्स, कंग्रेचुलेशंस.
Thank you so
So,
much.
and Shampa ji, tell me this. अगर आप you're traveling, you're going to an international location, कहीं पे where people don't know that you're an artist, and आप एक art gallery में जाते हो. So, what is that you would look at in the displays there in the gallery? What is that you will see in the art there? So it's an art gallery. There are different artists who have portrayed their artwork there. So what is that you would look at? क्या देखोगे आप? क्या ढूंढोगे? Or
No,
how do you praise something which you've liked over there?
yeah, definitely. Look, first of all, when I'm going somewhere, it's a different experience. Every place, and you're saying abroad, like out. So every place has a different, the artist of that place, whoever is, they have a particular way of doing. So definitely, any art that you see, you will be interested, and you will definitely look around and all. And if there is something which really, it's not whether it's abstract or figurative or anything. I mean, I love, you learn from everything. You learn from everything. So definitely, if there is something which interest, because art is what? Art is something, that you can make a connection with. And if I'm connecting with something, I would definitely praise it, or say some good words about it. So
So
I don't see, even if you see the Indian folk art and all. If you go to the villages, if you see these walls that these ladies, tribal villages, it's so simple. Few basic colors, simple lines, but they connect with you. You know, there is a connection which builds up. They're not doing anything great over there or not doing masterpieces over there, but it just connects. So anything that connects with you, art has to connect with you. If it does that, then I think so most of its purpose is solved.
Got it. Got it. So, are you comfortable, matlab, or let me ask this as a generic question: are artists comfortable praising others' arts?
Look, I think so. It's very because what I know, like when you have artists going to each other's studio is very important, which is sadly not happening nowadays. Whatever the reasons might be, but this used to happen, with our older generations. Like if you see, I've heard in fact because I was with the Kumar Art Gallery, and that time Virendraji was there, and he used to tell me that we used to have these sessions where all these artists used to sit together, and we used to talk about art. You know, the all through the night we are talking about art. I mean, it's so wonderful. And artists used to visit each other's galleries, and sorry, studios. And then, हाँ झगड़ा भी होता था. ये नहीं कि because but there used to be criticism, but criticism used to be a constructive
Yeah,
criticism.
constructive and healthy
Yeah, it
criticism.
never used to be a criticism where you're pulling down something, unnecessarily. If you're saying that I'm not liking this, then there is a reason to it. And whoever is saying that, he or she has a hold on, is an authority, because he's not saying it just like that. So that kind of a conversation, that kind of a debate is very, very healthy, which sadly enough doesn't happen now. We are in fact praising everything. uh, I'm not saying every artist's work is good because he or she has put in their thoughts, their language on the canvas, but then constructive criticism is very essential. And I think so that's why we have these exhibitions, like a solo show. When you're having a solo show, it's practically that you're putting yourself completely out there for anything to come your way. It can be criticism, it can be good, it can be appreciation, whatever. But it is very important for an artist to have these shows, solo shows, because if you're sitting in the studio and just working and selling a few, two, three works, then what are you doing?
Sure.
Where
So,
are you showing your thought, or where are you showing your expression? Where are you showing your language? So these shows, like these, to have a healthy debate is very essential. Um,
so where do you go? Where do you go to get good reviews about your artwork? Where
uh,
you get this criticism? Because I'm sure your husband will be like, "Wow, wow, this is superb."
no, no,
Your
I'm
son
so
will be.
sorry. No, no, he's the worst. I think so, he's the worst critic for my work, and so am I for him, because none of our works leaves our studio without me telling him something about his work, or him telling me about my work. But yeah, we have friends and all. We do sit down at times. Also, I'm very, blessed. There have been many people who have helped me when I was not, my works were not known anywhere, and I'm always grateful to. There are galleries who have put up my work. I mean, they didn't. Nobody knew me, and they have put up my work and they have supported me. I will not take the name because it's a public. This I would. I don't want to
Hmm.
embarrass them by taking their names and all. There have been curators, there have been art critics. In fact, today itself, I was having a word with one of them. She had gone to my show, one of the shows that is going on, and she made it a point to ring me up and tell me that, Champa, I went and saw your work. It's a big thing for me. You know, she could have just gone and not called me up, but she called me up and said, Champa, I went to see your work, and this is what I liked. So this kind of a healthy, criticism or appreciation helps you. And I'm fortunate that I have my galleries whom I work with, who represent me, who have my work. Some of them have been with me for such a long time, and they have been with me when nobody knew my work. So I'm always grateful for that. I'll take you. I'll take. There is an art critic. The first show that I was happening, which was my solo. I went to her. She saw my work and she said, "I'll write for you." I mean, she said, "I just write for you. Don't worry."
Okay.
So I think so. It's a blessing that to get so much of love and appreciation from people who know, who understand. So that is a blessing that I think so. I'm very fortunate that I had.
Okay. Shampaji, you've come a long way, and you've traveled to the journey from struggles to, now you know where you are, and people recognize you. You've established yourself. So, what is the suggestion you have for the struggling artists who have very good work but struggling to make their mark? They don't know how to showcase their work. They don't know, how to showcase their work, where to showcase, how do they sell their art. So what is the suggestion you have?
Um, I would say that first of all, you know, making yourself aware is very important. Aware, how aware? Aware not only, of course, your art is there, but through studies, through research, proper studies, you know, and just keeping yourself well informed because you don't know where the inspiration is going to come from or what is going to help you out. Something might just strike you. So keeping your knowing things, keeping your informations absolutely, keeping yourself well informed, that is one thing. Secondly, have a lot of faith and confidence. It's a tough journey because if you see, there's so many artists who come out from these art colleges every year. Everyone, nobody, out of that, one or two people will be there in 2 years or 3 years that people will come to know. So developing a language of your own is very difficult, very difficult. So for that, you need complete dedication. You need to be confident about what you're doing and keeping yourself well informed and patience. Don't take a shortcut. It doesn't help. It might help you in 1 or 2 years, but ultimately it will not help you. So have confidence on your work, um, and it's a difficult. It's being an artist is difficult. It seems you just take your canvas and you paint it and you do it, but you have to understand you're creating something, and then you're putting it out to other people, and then you're understanding how they react to it or how you react to it. So like when I start a canvas, I don't know what I'm going to make. I start a blank canvas, and these layer by layer colors come in. To me, even that is philosophy. Like in your life, whatever you are now is a sum total of all your experiences in your life from the day you were born or even before that, when you were in the womb. So all these experiences, sum total, make you what you are today. So when you're creating a canvas, these layer by layer, that application of color, and then you put in things which are important, and then you delete things which are not. So it's like life, you prioritize things. So you have to prioritize things, and it's a tough journey, but it's a wonderful journey because end of the day, you're doing something which you would love to do. You don't get tired doing it. All through the day you're working, all through the night you're working, you're not getting tired because you're doing something which you love to do. So having patience is very important. um, and the rest is, don't lose that hope and confidence because it's a tough life.
Yeah,
But
thank
once
you.
you develop a language of your own, once you find the way, then things, you start, that cloud starts sorting out. That haze, it starts lifting and you start seeing the way. But you have to take those one step, and the journey should continue.
Yeah, thank you, because this will help a lot of budding artists who are like trying to, waiting for the cloud to pass away, where they
Yes.
have a lot of
But
clarity.
it's very difficult. It's
Hmm.
difficult. I'm
It's difficult.
I'm very. I mean, it's hats off to them because at this such situation after the pandemic and all, things are difficult for people. But in that also, people who are working, especially the younger generation who are at it, I really, all my best wishes to them because it's very difficult to survive in this condition for a young artist.
So true. Sameer Chandaji is saying superb. Mohammad Salim Jaipur is saying very nice talk. Uh, Thank you, sir. So last question, Champaji. I mean, we're almost close to an hour.
Yeah.
Uh, when you come to an atmosphere where it's all about art, like your studio, a person like me who is very new to art, even he is like, yaar kuch banana hai, let me start practicing and all that. Are you open to somebody coming and working in your studio and exploring art like the way you do? Are you open, or you love to work in a solo atmosphere?
No, look, definitely when I work, I need complete seclusion. That goes for every artist, you know. But definitely, it's also fun to have, you know, for some, if someone wants to come and just be there, because you also learn many things in that process. And definitely, because what you are doing is completely out there, and you are very, if an artist is very clear about what he or she is doing, it doesn't matter that if someone is there, and you can share your journey, you can share your way of working. And we do hold sessions and all, where we workshop, where we are showing our way of working, because there are many people who are we didn't have that, you know. We learned it from our teachers. How we learned it is that we used to go to their studios, and we used to class used to be on, and their studio used to be right next door. So we used to go and we used to see them working. So when you see the artists, I still remember them, when I used to see them working, that has remained with you. The texture that I apply, I used to see my professors doing it. Of course, I made it my own. I started in that way, but I made it my own. The language I developed on my own. But I've seen them working, so that really helps. Because art is something which you have to see practically. With, you know, if you see it, you cannot read art. I mean, you cannot learn a technique by reading. You have to do it. You have to see it. So definitely, and it's quite nice. And at times when we have these sessions where younger artists are there, and there's so much to learn from them. They're so well informed, and I would say about the material and other things and experiments that they do. It's really commendable the way they go about it, because they're so well informed. So it's a learning process. It's a two-way street. So you learn definitely.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Shampaji, for joining us on this particular show. You've been very humble. I think, hearing your journey, any budding artist, any artist would connect with the journey and the struggle which is involved. Thanks for sparing time with us, and thank you for being in one location, not traveling. But yeah, I mentioned this. I feel very jealous of the entire family, the way you're exploring and traveling things, and where
No,
the
but
way you're.
if I may say, the pandemic has taught us one thing: we are not traveling physically, but we are definitely traveling inward. You know, that journey inward is there for many people, and for me especially. There's been a lot of introspection. If you say 2 years of this pandemic has taught you many things which you maybe before 2 years you would never imagine. And you've started introspecting and prioritizing things which are important for you and which are not important for you. So, so therefore, the journey is there, but the journey is an inward journey which is there.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Shampaji, and thanks a lot, lovely audience who've been, watching this and commenting on this particular interview. And I would also like to thank Sneha ji for enabling Sneha Arts, through which I could connect eminent artists like you. So thank you, Shampaji. Thank you
Thank you
again.
so
Thank
much.
you, friends. Have a
And
great
I
evening.
thank to you, Ravi and Sneha Arts, for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaskar.